Just moments ago, a briefing from the State Department spokesperson, Matthew Miller. He talked about President Joe Biden on the phone, speaking with leaders from the G7 nations. Listen to what he had to say.
Thank you. This morning, in advance of the president's call with the G7 leaders, the secretary convened a call of the foreign ministers from France, Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom. On that call, he discussed with them working together to coordinate a response to Iran's attack on Israel. Further discussed how to coordinate diplomatic efforts moving forward to ensure stability in the Middle East. Secretary then joined the president's call with the G7. I'm sure you saw the readout that the White House issued a short time ago, where they made clear that the G7 condemns Iran's attack on Israel and is working together on a response, including new sanctions. With that, Matt. Not Matt.
I'll be Matt today.
Really? Go ahead.
So Biden said he does not support an attack on Iran's nuclear sites. Is that a red line for the U.S., and are there any others? What's your message to Israel on how this response should look?
So the president made very clear what we do not support. I think beyond that, we will continue to discuss with Israel what the shape of their response will be. I'm not going to air all of those discussions privately, but we have made very clear that this was an unprecedented escalation by Iran. Israel has a right to respond to it, and we'll discuss that response with them.
Are the Israelis listening to you? Do you have any indications that Israel is even inclined to listen to the U.S. after having made operational decisions on its own that led to success?
Look, they're a sovereign country. They do make their own decisions. We talk with them at a number of different levels about what we believe is in their interest, what we believe is in the interest of the region. We'll continue to do that, but ultimately it's up for them, as it is for any sovereign country, to make their own decisions.
Are they receptive to what you've been telling them in these conversations, though? Do you have any indication that they're going to listen or coordinate with you on what the next steps are?
I think it's appropriate at this point that we keep those conversations private.
And then just on Gaza ceasefire prospects, has there been any progress on that since the attack on Hezbollah communications equipment? Are there any meetings taking place? Is there a path forward for that at this point, or has that been overtaken by Israel Hezbollah?
It's not that it's been overtaken by the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. It's that Hamas has, again, refused to engage. I went through some of this yesterday, and I'm happy to go through it again. This really predates the events of the past week, 10 days, where we've seen Israel launching attacks on increased attacks on Hezbollah. It goes back several weeks, where we were at this point where we were trying to get together a next proposal that we, along with the other mediators, Egypt and Qatar, would present to the two parties. And in preparing for that step, we're doing various soundings of what might be agreeable, trying to play the role of a mediator and come up with a response that would get to yes on both sides. And Hamas has refused to engage. So it's not from a lack of interest on our part, it's not from a lack of focus on our part, but when you're trying to put together a deal, you have to have the parties themselves engage. And over the last few weeks, Hamas has been unwilling, for whatever reason, to engage. So, go ahead. You seated your right, yeah.
Well, I was late. I'm sorry. I was on the call.
Just to bounce off Gaza, Israel is still, they don't have as many troops in Gaza at the moment, given their movement of a lot of troops up north. They are still doing operations in Gaza. Can you give us any kind of update on what their next steps are in Gaza in terms of any kind of transition phase? Is there anything that they, in terms of what their plan is, if there are no communications with Hamas? I know that a lot of this is under wraps, but any kind of how the U.S. is pivoting?
I think they should speak for what their next plans are. Obviously, we have been clear about what we believe the post-conflict period should look like in Gaza, but when it comes to what Israel's plans are, it's something that they should speak to.
Okay, and on Lebanon,
all eyes on the State Department addressing what is going to happen between Israel and Iran, and how the United States will be involved, and what that will mean to our military, 40,000 military members stationed there in that region. When we come back, we say streaming coast to coast and worldwide, we are on both coasts in Los Angeles in a courtroom that is dealing with the death of actor Matthew Perry, and reports of a doctor about to plead guilty in that case. Then on the other side of the country, potential additional charges against the mayor of New York when we come back.